But good morning, everyone. Hope you're all well. It's a lovely morning. The sun is shining, blue sky, and I've dragged you all here this morning. It seems such a shame, but it looks absolutely lovely out there. Good to see you all. And Jamie, thanks for joining us this morning. I mean,
Pleasure.
you're a member of Social Sesh anyway, but what you have to offer in terms of sales and CRM systems as well is fantastic. I've known Jamie for far too
Gosh,
many years.
many.
And like I think I mentioned last week, I often see Jamie out and about on a Sunday afternoon when the pubs were open on his
Oh,
push bike, going from pub to pub around Thorpe and in the city. I've never seen him after the last pub. I would love to see that. Um, I'm sure he's not cycling in a straight line. Uh, but it's good to see you, Jamie. Thanks for coming along. Obviously, your background. I'll let you introduce yourself, but I know your background is in sales and you're an expert on CRM systems as well, so I'm sure you can explain to us all. But I'll leave it to you just to introduce yourself to everyone.
that's great. Thank you, Martin. Thank you for the invitation. And good morning, everybody. Yeah, I'm
Morning.
Jamie Allan. My background essentially started in the end of the 70s, early 80s, from advertising, really, but always customer focused. And I got into CRM really in the early 80s when it was called database marketing. And then that progressed to the early 90s when it was called CRM. But all through the 80s, I was actually consulting to Audi VW and doing customer profiling on their database, so they understood who they were talking to, when they should talk to them, what they should talk to them about. So with regard to the sales side, they actually increased their sales 20 to 30% year on year, purely because they talked to the right people at the right time and they weren't wasting their efforts sending information. In those days, it was more direct mail and telephone calls, but they weren't talking to the wrong people at the wrong time. So that's really what profiling is all about. It's understanding the segments of your customer database who are most likely to buy your products at the right time at the right cost.
So, first question, Jamie, for Mel's benefit, could you just explain, or just what does CRM stand for?
CRM stands for Customer Relationship Management. And it's an all-encompassing description. And the clue is in relationship. It's all about building relationships with your customer, because a lot of businesses find they've got data in that they've got it in the business, and they think, well, we need to use that data, so they do marketing campaigns willy-nilly, not understanding what that data represents. So they really should be looking at cleaning that data and talking to their existing customers and understanding where those existing customers sit in the business, because by doing an 80-20, you should be talking to the top 20% of your customers. So that's where you start building the relationship. So having that information centralized means that everybody can have access to it. And in the past, you had things called silos, which were individual operations within a business, having their own customer base and having their own engagement process, and they didn't share information. And a CRM, a customer relationship management system, actually centralizes all information so that everybody can see it. So that when a customer phones in, no matter who picks up the phone or who has that engagement, they can go onto the CRM, see the history, and be reactive and positive to give that customer a good experience. So that's what a CRM is. It's a centralized area of data that helps you manage your customers and shares that information within the business.
So, I mean, basically, that's answered my next question, really. So, the key benefits to us as a business owner from a CRM system is, for me, from my experience, is tracking communications or the conversations with clients, putting information in about clients, even personal information as well, which can help build that relationship, but also a sales pipeline as well. So, are they the key benefits?
Well, yeah, they're the key benefits, because every business needs customers to survive. So by actually building information around those customers, you will generate sales organically, because if you develop the right relationship and they trust you, they'll buy more from you, and more importantly, they'll refer you to others in their sphere. So yes, it's actually one of the key benefits is additional sales. But obviously you've got the emotional benefit of actually building that relationship, building that confidence. It's the know, like, trust.
Absolutely.
That's what it builds.
One of my first experiences of using a CRM system, going back when I first started in business, was I had a lady based out in Suffolk, and she booked some training with me, but she had to cancel at the last minute because the dog was unwell. So she rang me and said, I need to get the dog to the vet. Can we reschedule? And I said, I hope the dog's okay. And that's what the dog's name was and what was wrong with the dog. And said, hope everything goes okay. Sort the dog out first, and then we'll reschedule. So of course I'm making a note of this in the CRM system while I'm talking. The dog's name, what was wrong with the dog, and because I rang her back a week later to see about how she wanted to reschedule, and I said, well, how's Rover? Is his right leg okay now? And she was blown away that I'd remembered the dog's name and even remembered what leg it was that he was having problems with, and she's been a customer ever since. And like you say, she's recommended me because that was the personal touch, the know, like, and trust that we built.
Yeah, it's those soft skills, that soft information that actually is vital, because that's where that relationship builds. And she will tell her friends about you. So you're not going to believe this, but it's going to be like that. So that's how you actually get those referrals. So yeah, very important.
Yeah, absolutely. I daren't ask how Rover is now because that was probably about 8-9 years ago, and he's like
oh, R.I.P.
I don't know.
You know what, Martin, is one of those things. What you just suggested is one of those things. Oh, Phil Burton used to tell us to do, and I used to feel so fake for doing it because I know that when he spoke to me, after he'd finished speaking to me, he'd be in his phone putting down all of this information and that I told him today. So every time I spoke to him after that, I knew that he wouldn't have remembered half of those things, that he was going back and working those things out. And that completely changed my relationship with him because before I thought he was a genuine person.
Yeah.
The minute that I knew he was doing those sorts of things, it made me feel like I was part of a
system.
Employee, you know. Yeah. So that's all very well as long as the client doesn't know that you're doing that, isn't it?
Absolutely, yeah. And I guess most of us in business know that other business owners use a CRM system. If you're using, doing B2C, much like yourself and Mel, then I guess they're not going to know that you're using a CRM system.
I'm lucky enough in a way. Sorry, I say I'm lucky in a way because I don't have that many customers. So when I know that Mrs. Cromer's just been in for a hospital appointment and she's had her face done, when I pop round the next day with some flowers, I can say, "Hi, Mrs. Cromer, how's your face?"
You start to build your client base up.
Yeah, that's
it's going to be hard
right.
to remember those things. I even put things down like, what football team they support, and we have a little bit of banter. Would I do business with an Ipswich fan? I don't know. They probably wouldn't do business with me, looking at all this paraphernalia behind. But it's things like that, and you can have a little bit of banter. One of my clients is a driving instructor, and I basically picked him up because he supports Arsenal. And I picked him up as a client because we had that banter at first between sort of like Norwich and Arsenal. And he in the end, he came to me and said there was only one person to go to because I trusted you. And it's just because we had that banter between the football. So that's great. So just Jamie, if you're okay, if you just open it up a little bit, I'll go just round the board with the four of you. Who's currently using a CRM system? And if you are, what are you using? Can we start with Mel? No, that's that one in a nutshell.
Pretty easy, that one, no.
Thanks, Mel. Rebecca?
Yes, we do. We're currently using OnePage. We're not necessarily happy. We've tried quite a lot, to be honest. But
okay. What is it?
A lot of them are expensive. OnePage.
Okay. Jamie's now putting that in his CRM system.
Yeah. I've not come across OnePage.
It's fairly cheap, and does the job for us at the minute. It's not what we'll stay with long term, but
okay, brilliant. Thanks, Rebecca. Kim?
The reason I get very confused about CRM systems is we have a system, and it's a system that's accessed by all of our staff. So we could go back and we can see everybody's name, dates of birth, telephone numbers, email addresses, where the referral came from, why they came to us, what files we've got open for them, and what have you. So we have a system in place, but I don't ever think of that as being a CRM system. It's a document management, case management system that we have. So I guess it becomes a CRM if it has the facility to be able to draw all of those things together and prepare reports and what have you. Is that right?
Yeah, yes. Essentially, when a business is putting a CRM system in, you set out your strategy as to what you want out of the system, and that could be, yes, reports, could be mailings, it could be telephone calls, it could be importing of data and then sending it out to a call center, which you link to the CRM. So, yeah, the CRM, you've got a proprietary system, I imagine, for lawyers.
Yes.
Which it's not a full-blown CRM system, but it does some of what CRM does. So in that instance, you have to look at it and understand what you need to actually develop those relationships with your customers, and then look at the software you've got and think, how is that software going to help me do that? And sometimes that's not possible. And if it is, it may cost a lot of money. It just depends on what you want out of the business, because proprietary systems do limit how you can expand the application of what you want out of it.
Yeah. I mean, when I've looked at CRM systems, because periodically I'm bombarded with these things. I don't know if it's, you know, maybe I've looked at it online, and then all of a sudden Google and Facebook and everybody else knows that I've looked at it, and I'm bombarded with CRM. Yeah. When I've looked at them in the past, I look at it and I think, well, we do that already, or our system can do that already. So I'm just not sure whether we need a CRM system to sit alongside what we've got.
No, you probably don't.
Develop what we've got.
If what you've got is already doing the job of building relationships with customers, sending personalized mailings, not spam mailings, sending out or logging phone calls, setting up reminders, setting what we call key performance indicators, like number of tasks done per day, number of how much business is being targeted, what's being closed, what sort of services are you selling, what sort of benefits is that service being to those customers. If you need to capture that information, which I believe as part of the CRM, as part of a business, you should, then you need to think about how that software can work for you. And that's where you need to go back to your proprietary owners and say, this is what I want out of the system. I'm not sure if I'm getting it. Can it do it? And when I say it's a problem with proprietary systems, they do what they do because they have to cater for everybody. So they're not just for you, they're for the law business.
Yeah.
Brilliant. Thanks, Jamie. Thanks, Kim. Raymond, are you using a CRM system?
I haven't been up until just recently. I've just introduced a help desk system. It's not fully CRM, but it has a plugin to make it fully CRM, but it's now starting to give me some proper visualization of what the hell's going on in the business. So logging all the calls and what have you. So yeah. So no, but yes.
I think that was the key. That was the key thing for me when first using a CRM system, because everything was here, there, and everywhere within the business. A CRM system for me brought everything in. It brought the conversations in, from the emails, the phone calls, the sales pipeline, the contact details, and so on. And that was the big draw for me for a CRM system. So Jamie, if you're looking for a good CRM system, how do you choose? There's so many out there. How do you choose one that meets the needs for everyone in the business? Because my experience, when I had Autumn, who was the apprentice who I then employed, we spent 6 months trying different CRM systems out. We even tried a local company in Norfolk that was building a bespoke system, but it was more around the property industry, and it just didn't work. It still had flaws. And the thing I found with CRM systems, most of them, they all had good and bad points. And if you could pull all those good features from all those systems and bring it into one, you'd have the perfect CRM system. But I guess every business has different needs for a CRM. Is that correct? So how do you choose a good one?
Yeah, it is actually very difficult. Let me go back in history. Back in the 80s, CRM really consisted of packages, small packages, which were ideal. And then in the 90s, they became bigger client server solutions. And then in the 2000s, became cloud-based with the Salesforces and the HubSpots. And with those came columns, and each column had benefits and applications, and companies just didn't know what they wanted. we want some of that column and some of that column, but we don't want to pay in that column. We want to pay. It was utterly and totally confusing. So I decided a couple of years, or 2 or 3 years ago, to come back to where it started. And I advise companies two things. If they've got an existing CRM system and they're locked into a contract, A, is it working for them? Are they getting the benefit? If they're not, how can we make it so? Or if they're not, do they want to change? But is that applicable so far as return on investment is concerned? Because some of these deals are 12 months, 24 months. So it does depend. So I've been into companies that had HubSpot and Salesforce and they've kicked it out because I've asked that same question. Is your CRM working for you? Not really. Why? Because people aren't using it. They don't understand it. Doesn't follow their workflow. They can't be bothered to put the data in. Well, totally useless. A CRM has to work 100%, not 80%. It has to work 100% because if you don't have that data in, it can't work for the business. So what I'm doing now is helping business either get more out of what they've got and possibly getting rid of it ultimately. So in other words, satisfying that contract. And we're actually building to order. So we're actually asking the business, what is your workflow? And we build what we call CRM engine to follow the workflow of the business. And they start small with 4 modules and you add on that. So you get exactly what you want when you want it. So there's no issue about, I think I need this, but I do need that. And I can't afford that. It's literally built as you build the business. And more importantly, you get input from the people who are going to use it. So you find out from marketing, what do they want out of it? Sales, operations, admin. If everybody's got input, they will use it because they feel part of that process. But so that's how you choose a CRM. You understand what you want out of it.
Sorry, Jamie. But I mean, yes, that works great for a team, so like with Kim and even Rebecca. But for the likes of myself, Raymond and Mel, that would still work as a one-man band?
Oh, very much so. In fact, I would recommend you to start with the 4 modules, use it, and what those will give you essentially what you need. It'll give you a mailing system, it'll give you reminders, it'll track your sales, it'll do all the basics. And then if you want to put an AI in there, we can, providing any application, and it's all what we deliver is all WordPress based.
Yep.
So providing it's got an API, and for those an API is a bridge. It's called application protocol interface, and it's a bridge between one application and a central CRM, so it can talk to each other. Like Xero, that has an API, so we can link to Xero so that people or businesses can understand how much business is going through the accounts, for instance. So you build the CRM around how you want to manage your business, and a small business starts with the 4 modules, and we've got a few of those now. We've got a photographer's just come on board, and she's using it literally just to manage her day-to-day photography services. So yeah, it can work for a small business.
That sounds great, because again, going back to my experience, that during that 6-month period, we tried everything. You mentioned HubSpot, you mentioned Salesforce, and some of those we looked at them, and I think Salesforce we were paying something like £80-90 a month, I think.
That's pretty average.
Yeah, and it was fine. We could see the benefits from it, but you hit the nail on the head there. We weren't using it completely. We weren't using it for 100%. We were not using it to its full potential, and for me, it seemed a waste. So then we looked at HubSpot. We looked at different ones. We came back to Capsule, which we were using originally, and even though that's a cheap option, it works for me. But again, I still don't use it to its full potential. I use it to monitor email conversations. The downside with that, they haven't got a search option. So if I was me and you, Raymond, we had an email conversation. You came back to me 6 months later and said, "Well, you said this 6 months ago." With Capsule, I have to trawl through that conversation to find that if it had a search option within that, so I could put that keyword in and say like invoice or something, I could go straight to that actual email. So they all have good points and bad points. Personally, I want one that's easy to use. The issue I had when Autumn was with me was getting her to get in the habit of inputting that data. So again, you touched on that, hit the nail on the head. She had a box of business cards there from networking meetings, and I wanted her to put all that information in, but it was just, she had other things to do every day, and it was sort of low on the list of things to do. I love the idea that most CRM systems, and I'm sure yours does, it can track the interactions with clients and potential clients, because for me, that's important. I want one that's relatively cheap. I've got short arms and long pockets. But the thing I love about CRM systems is that you can monitor your sales pipeline.
Yeah.
I do some business coaching with Phil Budd, so a free plug for Phil, excellent business coach.
He's a good lad.
And he's all about the numbers. There's one section there, it's all about the numbers, and every session you track your numbers. Now with my CRM system, that does all that for me.
Yeah.
Because I'll put the inquiries in, I'll put the ones that lead to closed, with won or lost. It gives your conversion rate. It gives you all the figures you need. But the thing that I like with that is you can set up a tracking process. So if I get an inquiry from someone about social media management, I'll put that into the CRM system, and it will nudge me. It will give me an email reminder. You need to follow up, because if I didn't do that, I would just forget. I'm terrible at following up. So again, that's the beauty for me.
The thing that my system doesn't have is we have all of this information for our clients, but we don't put in inquiries. So potential clients, we don't open a file for a potential client. So what we do is we have a spreadsheet that relates to inquiries before they become clients. The trouble is the inquiries come into any one of our members, and although everybody has access to that spreadsheet, probably only one of them ever puts anything on it.
Yeah.
And that, that's the problem that I have, people taking a call, taking an inquiry, and then remembering to put it into the spreadsheet. Especially when it's a busy day. I mean, I don't know whether the answer is then just have one person that's responsible for that, but then the person who's taken the call or the inquiry has got to tell that one person, or remember to tell that one person. So that's where our system falls down. It doesn't make that provision. So
for a team like that, with what Kim has, a CRM would work in that aspect, and everyone, obviously you would have team members inputting that data. But it all comes down to people remembering to put the information into the CRM, doesn't it? So whether they're putting the information into the CRM or into the spreadsheet, it falls down, doesn't it?
I think a lot of it to do with habit as well as simplicity. So sort of like a form, if I don't know if it's relevant or not, having a form that they bring up and they have an inquiry and they just dump the information in as they're talking to them, push go, and it populates the CRM or the spreadsheet or whatever, would generally make the whole process complete at that point in time, rather than having to go back and do it. And I think that's where I always fall down, is remembering to go back and do something afterwards. That's a great point, Raymond. Is a CRM, or is your CRM as well, Jamie, or any CRM, is it capable of doing that? Like where you could have a form pop up as soon as they get an inquiry, that team member fills that form in, and it auto-populates, I guess, to the CRM.
Yes. Yeah, it comes down to the workflow of the business. If that's how you want your business to capture that information, you need to train and educate your team to actually do that. But you do it in a way to explain to them that it adds value to their business. So it'll save their it'll save their time, it'll make their day more profitable. It'll mean they're talking to the right customer. In other words, you feed them an educational process that makes them feel good, so they understand that to do it is actually going to add value to them. Yeah.
From my experience, Raymond hit the nail on the head. It's just force of habit. Yeah. It was the habit for Autumn to do it as well. So yeah,
Raymond's spot on. It's part of the process within the business, just as it is when you go through in your case, Kim, you go through a process. Somebody says, we want to talk about a certain conveyance issue. You have processes. There are certain steps that they have to go down. It's exactly the same. It's just an additional part of that business, but it's around the CRM. It's around capturing, in this case, inquiries and managing that, because that's your lifeblood. Your inquiries are your lifeblood. I mean, your existing customers are the most important, but people coming to you with what if and how can you help, that's the next best.
It's got to, for me, it's the following up. with those inquiries.
Yeah,
That's the key thing. But I guess, I mean, we all hate the GDPR thing, but I guess with all this data being stored in a CRM, do most of these CRM systems, do they meet those requirements, the data requirements of data storage and GDPR?
They have to, because you're capturing personal information. So let's give you a typical scenario. Somebody comes onto your website, they like what they see, they fill out a form. On that form, there are opt-ins. And you caveat any information that they want to have from you by saying, are you happy for us to actually keep your data on the database? So they tick the box, and they have to tick the box. There's no default to say this is ticked, because that's you'll be liable under the IPO. So they tick that box, and then it comes in, and then that box, that form, those form fields are then matched to the CRM. So that goes into the GDPR section of the CRM. So you know that they have to be contacted, and then you put the options in that form by email, by telephone, by direct mail, by whatever. So whatever options you have for your engagement process, you have those, so that you know that that individual only wants to be contacted by email and phone, but nothing else.
Okay.
Or just email.
Brilliant. So, I mean, I'm looking at my CRM system now, and I'm looking at the contacts in there, and I've got some going back to the first year I was in business, who I haven't spoken to probably for 6, 7, 8 years. So I guess it's a good habit to, even though it's all GDPR compliant, it's still a good idea to go in and review that data and make sure it's clean and compliant as well.
Yeah, every 6 months, ideally, certainly every 12.
Okay.
There isn't a database in the world that's right up to date.
So not every 8 or 9 years, like myself, then.
No.
Okay.
No. I mean, to be fair, in Mel's case, it may be right up to date, because how many customers have you got, Mel? Oh, sorry, she's on.
You're on mute, Mel. You're on mute.
Sorry, I'm trying to stop the background noise. Probably regular ones, about 20 or 30, but I get people coming in and out the shop all the time. So yeah.
So your database is probably right up to date, but when you get into the realms of thousands, it's likely that there's something wrong somewhere. So you just need to make sure it's clean. Yeah.
Okay, so if it's okay with you again, Jamie, just open it up again. So basically, just go around the room again and just ask everyone about, have they profiled the data, and do you know who your ideal customer is, Mel?
No, not really.
Okay.
I mean, I know my ideal customer would be probably a funeral director or a wedding planner, but I can't kind of get into any of that at the moment. So I basically work on sales from the shop and website and direct florist.
Okay, so I'm guessing, Jamie, from what you've said about a CRM, that this is ideal for basically profiling that data and finding out who your ideal customer is, because you can track the sales, you can track the conversations, and then I guess you start to see the demographics of your ideal customer, if you like, for CRM.
Yeah, very much so. You can understand, I know, Mel, in your case, you're selling types of flowers. Obviously, they're buying roses or daffodils or whatever. So typically, you would be tracking where most of your sales would be. How many roses are being sold to what sort of people? And again, by understanding the type of people is because you would talk to them. You'll understand, and you'll get close to them. So you understand the sort of profile, the sort of lifestyle. You don't have to ask them personal questions, but you'll know in your own right. You'll think, yeah, I know that sort of person. I reckon that's the sort of market we're looking for. And as your business grows, so you take on 2, 3, 4 shops, you will get that shop in an area that coincides with the profile of your typical customer. And that's how you understand how to grow your business. No point in going to a location where there's no chance of them buying anything, no flowers, nothing. The best chance would be maybe funeral directors. So in other words, depending on how you want to set up your business, depends on where you're going to locate it. And that will depend on the profile of your typical customer. And you get that through the CRM by logging information like sales, type of service, type of product, amount spent, and things like that.
Excellent. Thanks, Jamie. Thanks, Mel. Rebecca, How do you use your CRM system? Do you profile the data? Do you use it to find out who your ideal target customer is?
Not massively. I don't think we really have enough people within it. So we've got an idea of what we thought our ideal customer would be when we started. So mostly tradespeople. We do have some tradespeople, but we don't have as many as we expected. It depends on the service as well, because there's so many services. We try and track what services people are using to then see what's right for that service. So you've got the admin service, or if someone just wants to take the telephone answering, that seems to be particularly popular with driving schools right now. I think most of our customers are driving schools for that. That wasn't necessarily something we expected, but it makes sense. So in a few words, we don't use it efficiently.
I can completely relate to what you're saying about the services, because I using the CRM at the time, it helped me remodel my business because I could see what inquiries were coming in for certain services. So there's certain services that I dropped. There were certain services that I focused on.
And from the financial aspect of which are more profitable for us as well is because most of our inquiries are for a virtual address. Our SEO is very good for that, but the profitability on that is not that high. We don't make very much from it, so it's a lot of analysis still to do.
Okay, excellent. Thanks, Rebecca. Kim?
Yeah, we have several ideal clients depending on what type of work we do. I mean, I know we've had this conversation with Andrea before about avatars and all of that sort of stuff, and I always found it incredibly difficult because I was trying to find one ideal client that fit the box for everything. Just an impossible task. So now what we do is we look at an ideal client for wills, an ideal client for powers of attorney, an ideal client for debt collection, those sorts of things, because often they're very different. And again, we can look at how much money we make in relation to each particular type of matter, so that we can try and focus on where we need to do something if we're going to do something.
Sorry, Kim. So Jamie, just with what Kim now said there, with the different segments, different ideal avatars, ideal clients, if you like, can you segment them in a CRM system so that they're basically noted that they fit that ideal client profile, I guess?
Yes, exactly that. I mean, the way in which Kim's managing her customers is that she's wanted to understand where her best customers are by service, which is absolutely spot on, and then the value of those clients. So at the end of the day, she'll know where her biggest strengths are in that business. So it may come out that conveyancing is the number one that they're getting asked for, which means that they're probably number one in the area, for instance. So she'll be able to track in the CRM what services are being bought, because one person may be buying 2 or 3 services. There may be personal disputes, there may be house purchases, there may be powers of attorney on a third-party basis. So in other words, there may be several services, but it depends on the value of those services per customer. And that's where the CRM will start to segment which type of customer is buying which sort of service, and then the values will spit out of that. And I mean, in Andrea's defense, I don't think she was expecting you to have one avatar for your complete business. I think she did mean the avatar for each of your services, because
I don't want to say,
absolutely right.
Yeah, Andrea wasn't the one that was telling us to have one avatar for the whole business. That was following on from my reading and looking for the ideal client. As our services expanded, it almost became an impossible task to try to find one person that would be perfect in relation to all aspects of the business. So it was much easier breaking it down into the various parts.
And that's the right way. You can't have one for the whole business, because power of attorney is at one end of the spectrum, and I don't know, divorce is at the other. I mean, that's a bad example, but in other words, no two people are the same, no two families are the same. And you're right.
I mean, you can tie those things together. So, for example, I would say for wills, powers of attorney, probate work, a couple who are in between 50 and 60 who have children and grandchildren who are perhaps looking after elderly parents. You know, that couple is a potential client in relation to lots of different areas. And of course, when we finish a matter, we send out our satisfaction questionnaire and we say, have you had any accidents? Do you want some help with some personal injury? Have you got a will? So we try to cross across all of those things. But you know, there is an ideal client that can cover a number of them, but just not all of them. So, you know, so that couple isn't going to be interested in our debt collection services. So so it's kind of working.
Thanks,
that's how to work it. That's how to segment it. And in answer to your question, the CRM will help segment and profile.
Excellent. Thank you very much. Raymond?
I think it's early days for me at the moment, but I have to say I've just written some notes to start splitting up my my service calls. So that's I think the business is I know the business well enough to know where my main verticals are, but I think over time I need to make sure that I've got the data set up in the right way so that I can start to analyze it properly.
Excellent. Thanks, Raymond. So, Jamie, I know we mentioned about the benefits of using a CRM system, but for me, automation is it saves us all a lot of time, and getting those automation processes in place, I think is key for all of us. So, a CRM it can help that with the customer engagement process.
Yeah, again, this is another critical issue that you get from a CRM, rather critical benefit that you get from a CRM by automating reminders. So making sure you don't actually miss any call is vital. You can automate your mailings, and you can personalize those mailings. So automation is really important because it saves you time. It obviously is then captured within the CRM, and it sets up the next stage. So you set up another call, or you set up, I'm going to send another email, or you just set up a follow-up letter, depending on how your business your business processes are set up. But yeah, automation is one of the biggest values you get out of a CRM. So, and it's also it should be mobile efficient as well.
I guess my biggest fear with automation is that people smell that it's automation. So actually personalize it helps. And I guess the automation for me is the reminders to follow up on those calls, to follow up on those emails. That helps me, that helps save me time. But I like the idea that you can I guess implement an email marketing system into the CRM system, so you can do that within that platform.
Yes,
so
you can.
Things like the bog standard ones like MailChimp, Constant Contact, can they be, you mentioned APIs and integration, can they be integrated, or is that in your system, is it your own bespoke email marketing system?
We've got our own system purely on the basis that companies using MailChimp, the exchange, or rather mail servers these days, actually when they receive an email from the likes of a MailChimp, they recognize it as such and put it into a promotion file or promotion folder. It doesn't go into the inbox, so it'll arrive more in spam. So we developed our own mailer so that it actually is sent from the email of that person. So if you're using Outlook, it'll go from your Outlook email, and it won't have anything to do, it won't show anything around MailChimp. It'll be as if it's from you. So it's personalized. And typically with Outlook, if you wanted to send 1,000 up, Outlook restricts email sendings to maybe 10 a minute or something like that, which is fine because you can set that in an evening, and in the morning they'll all be sent, but they'll all be sent with a view of being personal.
Okay,
and that's the key. So
the mail servers do, like the Googles and the Microsoft 365s, do have restrictions on that, don't they? And it does depend on your credibility.
Yes, exactly that.
Yeah, but I assume you can just chunk it into 100 emails per day or whatever.
That's exactly what we do in our system. We chunk it, and they say, "Yeah, I want to send 100 a day, whatever. And the beauty of it is you're talking to, again, the right people at the right time. So we kind of desist from companies sending thousands of emails out. We say send 100, not 1,000, because 100 qualified good contacts is much better than 1,000.
Yeah,
Because if you send 1,000, you won't get 10% back. You'll get 1% at best.
Mm.
If you send 100, you'll likely get 50% because you've taken the chance. You've taken the time to find out who that person is, why you need to talk to them. You've got the history. You can put in some personal information. So the likelihood of it being opened and responded to is much, much higher. And that's what the CRM system will do for you.
That's really interesting what you said, because I obviously use MailChimp at the moment. Luckily, I haven't got, well, I say luckily, I haven't got thousands of contacts, so it's only going out to dozens, even hundreds at the most. But I haven't seen the feature or an option there to chunk that up. I guess if I put them into different audiences, I could do it that way. But I always add myself to that list so I can see what the email looks like when I get it, make sure it's delivered. But 9 times out of 10, because I'm using Gmail, thanks to Raymond, it goes into spam or promotion.
Yeah.
You know, even though I click, it looks safe every time. It's still every time, because I guess it's picking up on it's coming from MailChimp.
Yes.
Okay, that's interesting. So I might be interested to have a chat, Jamie, with your system actually.
Certainly.
So the engagement processes, that's great. We can automate that. What about, for me, again, I like the figures. So things like analytics, sales pipelines. I know I've got a sales pipeline in Capsule I use at the moment, and deals closed and follow-ups. A good CRM system should have all those options. Is that correct?
Correct. Anything in the system, any capture that's being any data that's being captured in the CRM can be displayed as an image, as a graphic, as a line of text in what we call a dashboard. And actually, you're all familiar with dashboards. So essentially, that's how all our clients start their day. They look at the dashboard. What actions have I got today? How much business is coming in? And all this information is coming from the database, which is you're logging how much work you're getting, what the value of that work is, when's the next contact date, how many calls are being made. It's all in the database, so you can see this graphically. And even on the mailing, we can actually put some code in to tell you if that mail's been opened. Just even at that level, because we can control it, and the server at the other end, we can actually get round the fact that it's not. We can still get around the fact that it's not spam, so we can see the openings. So even down to that sort of analytics, but general analytics, yeah, definitely. Anything in the database that you want, that you capture, can be presented on the dashboard in graphic format or line format.
Okay, brilliant. I mean, I see the value in a CRM system anyway, but what you're now telling me is just I'm only scratched the surface with a CRM system. I'm only using the basics, I guess. Well, and that could save me a lot more time and benefit my business delving deeper into a CRM system.
Yeah, well, that's the whole point. There's no point in paying for a monthly fee if it's not giving you a return on investment.
Yeah, absolutely.
And what sort of monthly fee would a standard CRM system cost, Jamie?
A standard, well, you're talking about on the web, online, or one that we do, a bespoke system?
What do you do?
Our system starts at £47 a month, and with the mailer it's 67, and that's it.
Okay.
After that, it's a setup charge, and that's totally dependent on how you want to set it up. And so you can customize your fields, you can customize the look and feel, you can tell us what APIs you want to link to. So we would put together a whole package. So, and that would be a one-off cost. Okay. So, and it's unlimited users, unlimited data, unlimited contacts. And
sorry, Jamie, to butt in there, but that's a big plus, because the systems I've seen, they charge you per user.
Correct. And that's why we've gone for unlimited users, to give us, well, it's really because we're targeting small and medium enterprises. We feel that to charge per user when they maybe got 4 or 5 people in the business, and we think it's unfair for them to be charged per user. So we said, look, have it as covering all users, and essentially we provide a support process, a support package. So it's totally up to the business.
And that £47 is for the 4 modules that you mentioned?
As for the 4 modules, the organisation or company, the contact, the leads, and the tasks or the actions. You start there, and you can have all your company colours, your company logos. You can have whatever design you want, wherever you want the fields to sit. So you get what you want, and you use it, so you can see the value. Then you see how it can actually add value to the business. What other applications do we need? You build it from there.
Okay. Either Raymond's got a question or he's desperate for a toilet. He's got his hand up. I'm not sure which.
I didn't want to butt in as such. So thinking about Kim's system, for example, not sure if that actually has any APIs available to allow other applications to plug into it. So assuming it doesn't have an API, is there any way of integrating it?
Well, if it doesn't have an API, it would be very difficult.
Right.
If the system doesn't allow us to talk to it.
I was then going to say, can you just explain to the rest of us what an API is, please? No, I mean, it's like as you can.
The simplest way.
I don't know what it is.
I think the simplest way to describe it is like an interpreter. So it's kind of like you've got one system here, you've got another system there, and you've got this little bit of code, little bit of cleverness in the middle that allows the communication between the two. So from French to English or whatever it may be. So it's that piece of clever code, and there's like standards and what have you that they can all work to, will allow the interconnection between different data systems.
That's a great.
Is that reasonable?
Yeah, that's a great explanation. I love the word cleverness. That's great. I don't know if it's a word, but it should be if it isn't.
So in Kim's situation, she would need to talk to her providers, the provider of the software, and ask them.
Okay, brilliant. I mean, for me personally, I use WordPress. I use WordPress all the time. So
we use WordPress. It's so universal.
Yeah.
And tried and tested. 33, Raymond, I think it's 35% of companies in the world use WordPress.
I think it's even larger than that,
Billions.
to be truthful.
Billions.
Yeah. Billions. Yeah. Amazing.
It is a great system because the thing I love about WordPress, I know we're sort of going off on a tangent here, but it as your business grows, the website can grow with you because you just keep adding pages, adding plugins. Yep. And I know it has vulnerabilities like most websites these days, but the security plugins we use, touch wood, we've never had an issue. We get notifications every day of Olev in Russia trying to hack into the website 200-300 times a day, but he's never got through. So I do love WordPress.
It's not just that; it's also the scalability. You can put it on big platforms like Amazon, who have so much processing power, can handle millions of connections in one go or whatever it may be. So that's the great thing with WordPress. It is just so scalable and
and it also, as far as we're concerned, it means that the data is yours. We back up every day, and all updates are done. So because it's non-proprietary, if you want to move your data somewhere else, not a problem.
And you're a local business.
And we're very local.
Beautiful. Right, I'm just conscious of the time. Any questions from anyone to Jamie? Wow, silence is golden.
Well, if you want to get hold of me, you know where I am.
What I'll do is send out your contact details, Jamie, but you're a member of the group anyway, so if anyone wants to ask any questions about CRMs within the group, please do, either on the forum or in the Facebook group. That would be great. Jamie, a massive thank you. It's been eye-opening for me, because like I say, I've used CRM system from day one, but I've probably only scratched the surface with it. I need to be using it more. Absolutely, you need to.
If you're using Capsule, you probably is. Capsule is a lovely little package, but you've probably got stuff there you're never going to use ever.
Yeah, it certainly needs cleaning up after 9 years. Absolutely. Okay, brilliant. Thanks, Jamie. Next week, it will be a workshop at last. You know what I'm like. I don't plan that far ahead. So I think I'm going to be doing one on Facebook ads. So setting up ads, how to target your audience, and how to get it past the dreaded disapproval, and get Facebook to approve the ads as well. So I think I'm going to be doing a workshop on that. If any of you have got any ideas, anything that you would like me to cover in the future weekly workshops, please let me know. You know, again, in the Facebook group, because I want to make this valuable for yourself. But next week, I'm pretty certain it's going to be around about Facebook ads, but don't hold me to that. You know what I'm like. So if you've got any questions around Facebook ads, let me know beforehand, so we can cover that in the workshop next week as well. Okay, so we're finished a few minutes early. Like I say, if anyone has got any questions, feel free to ask Jamie now. If not, forever hold your peace.
Oh, I remember those days. Yes. Yeah.
So, Jamie, been very, very valuable. Really enjoyed today. I hope you've all enjoyed it. Have a great day. Like I say, any questions, just stick them in the group. But if not, I will speak to you soon. Are you all getting the daily tips okay into your inbox? Yep.
Yep.
Are they proving valuable at the moment, or helping at all?
Yeah.
Yep. Excellent.
I'm moving mine out and putting it into a different folder. I haven't actually read any of them yet. But I'm not deleting them. So there you go.
So are you moving them from the spam folder, or are you putting them into the spam folder?
I'm putting it into the Martin Reynolds folder.
Ooh, I like the idea of that. I hope you're all listening. The Martin Reynolds folder. I like the idea of that.
Love it.
Yeah.
Love it.
The funny thing is, when you put in Google Martin Reynolds, there's actually a British athlete comes up. So
That was you.
yeah, absolutely.
Martin, I get magician. Jamie Allan, magician.
Oh right, I thought you meant when you put Martin Reynolds in. There's a construction company, Martin Reynolds. There's opticians in Norfolk as well, so they generally come up. But if you just put Martin Reynolds in, the British athlete comes up as well on a Wikipedia page about him. So
Great.
So you're a magician as well, Jamie?
I am.
That's brilliant.
Yeah.
No, I'm not going to make you disappear anyway.
I fed you that one.
Sorry?
I fed you that one.
Have you all Googled your own names and seen what comes up?
Literally just done it now.
Have you?
Yeah.
Oh, what is it?
What is it?
Me.
Yeah, is it? Anything else?
Oh, that's handy.
No, just the first three are my profiles, but there again, it is localized to Norfolk anyway.
Brilliant.
Oh, the old cash syndrome.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
The whole of the first page is all me. Or simple.
Do it in incognito mode.
Yes.
Takes
I
all
don't know how to do
history. Okay. Should be, if you're using Google Chrome, there's little buttons at the top, and there's an option there to use incognito mode, and it takes all your search history out and takes your Google. Does it? Raymond, you might be able to tell me better. It takes your Google history out of it as well. It's
a blank browser that nothing's remembered in theory afterwards,
So
apart from the fact that if you're using a fixed IP, which is basically your internet connection, anyone could identify you through your internet connection. But it's sort of, if someone looks at your computer, you wouldn't notice that you've been looking for, I don't know, lounge suites.
So it gives you more accurate results, I guess.
It will exclude all your cookies and what have you that are currently on the system.
Excellent.
Yeah, don't tell your children that, because it's good for the naughty sites.
I wasn't going to say that.
This is before the watershed, Jamie. Be careful.
I've just done my incognito.
Yes, we know what you mean.
It's all me apart from one on page 2. So for the first 2 pages, it's all me apart from simple stationery or something or other turns up in the middle of page 2. But apart
well done.
As long as you're not on page 3.
Page 3, who knows?
So within the membership site, we've talked about Google Alerts. Have a look at that and put your own name and your own brand. Set that up as an alert, because it will bring alerts in if anyone mentions you online.
Right.
So
that's interesting. Yeah.
I don't know if I want to know.
That's true. Yeah.
I'll probably get the bloody magician again.
Actually,
we get simpler law, all the time. Simpler law, which is
simple law. Yeah, I can see that. Yeah.
But there's a firm that was called the Planning Crowd, changed their name to Simpler Law last July, and they do wills and probate and everything else. So we get an absolute ton of people phoning us and emailing us thinking that we're them as well. So,
Oh, there's an opportunity, Kim.
yeah, all the other way around.
Okay, I've just Googled Jamie Allan magician because I used to work with a magician in Manchester. Used to do some training with him. Like I just couldn't remember what his name was, but it's not him. So excellent.
Thanks.
Okay, brilliant.
Okay, guys.
Thanks very much, everyone. Great to see you all. Have a great day, and I'll speak to you soon. Take care.
Have a good day. Thank you,
again,
Alan.
Jamie.
Hey, guys.
Jamie.
Take care. Bye.